What's up, baby?
Turkey killing mofos. Hey, you a professional now.
You got her? Heck yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. Hell yeah.
Storytelling in regards to hunting and fishing has gone back hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
Literally on the rock walls of our nation.
Push it.
Yes, sir.
What you doing, Brandon?
Go. By the way, your nipples are already wet.
I just shot probably one of the most epic scenes, like, probably ever. These two monster bugs got after it, and it was so cool.
That's about like what you want it to look like. Cover it.
Oh, he's so handsome.
That's a big deer, Megs.
He's big. He's a big boy. That's talking whitetail.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Holy crap.
Look at those hooves.
Everybody wants to be a turkey hunter until it's time to do turkey hunters.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Tejas Hunt Club Podcast. Tonight, you have your host. This is Meagan McDowell. And we also have Miss Austin Collins on the line.
Hey.
She recently made an amazing trip to Namibia. So that's one of the biggest things we're going to talk about. But just want to get a little bit to know about her. I've met her through Stewards of the Wild, but she knew about Brandon through Silencer Shop. So it's kind of funny how we've all connected. But immediately thought this girl was really cool. Watched her hunt with her dog Birdie. So we'll hear a little bit about her as well. But yeah, Austin, just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of where you grew up. And I know you have an interesting hunting history.
Yeah, so thanks so much again for Meagan, you and the Tejas Hunt Club having me. As you said, my name is Austin Collins on Instagram, social. I'm at Hen and Hunt. I live in Texas. I'm a late adult onset hunter and really got into hunting about 6 years ago. So fairly new into hunting, 5 seasons, give or take. Really started chasing doves here in Texas and then fell in love with duck hunting, which is really my passion. Eventually found myself, traveling across the world, to Africa and this year, even Argentina. Along the way, I've got a bird dog. She's sleeping right here, as you mentioned, Birdie. Started training her and having somebody in the field. And so my hunting journey just continues to evolve from, solo hunting and trying to get out there with outfitters just to figure out like what this is. And I was loving it to now really the journey has evolved to big game. So, we'll talk more about that in most of this podcast, but, I love just sharing my story, inspiring other women like myself, even, men who are maybe considering, hey, I'd love to take up hunting and, showing that you don't have to grow up in it. You can totally do it and get out there and, enjoy the outdoors and talk about what conservation and adventure and outdoors is really about and the thrill of the hunt and all that comes with it because I'm just so in love with it. So again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing you touched on just now that I thought was so interesting, and I actually read it in your latest caption, I'm going to misquote you. But it was related to, you had only been, like you said, 6 years. Your most recent Namibia trip that I was just mentioning was your very first rifle hunt, period, much less internationally. But basically what you're saying is like, you just knew that you were capable. Like, you're like, I can do this. And you just kept telling yourself that basically, that it's a mindset thing.
Yeah. And I think that's how I've kind of, for anyone that's known me long enough, like they've known I've kind of lived my life by that, but I've just kind of implored or like, really had this like I can do or can do attitude, mindset and determination, like motivation. I can't say like I would have been hunting without somebody opening that door and inviting me to go hunt for the first time. Right. So can't say that my journey would have been the same if somebody hadn't really opened that door for me. So that was there. And yes, they like took me out hunting and like showed me, but it really took a journey even in that first year because I kind of grabbed the, bull by the horns and really went after it because it was like, okay, I love this. How do I do more of this? And so it was that like personal determination and can-do attitude. And it was that. So Namibia, well, to get more into it, but Namibia was technically not my first rifle hunt, but it was my first big game, no wing shooting. Like for the last 6 years, like I've been a duck hunter. I've been into wing shooting. We'll tell the story here in a minute, but like I originally first shot a rifle 2 years ago, but this was like my first hunting rifle, my first like dedicated big game hunt with like no wings. So, semantics there, but just for anybody that knew, they're like, wait, you technically hunted a rifle before. So I want to make sure.
No, that's my bad for sure.
Okay.
So did you grow up in Texas or how did you get here? You've been here? Okay.
Born and raised Texas. So I'm from San Antonio, really Bernie, for anybody that isn't in Texas, know Bernie. And like I knew about like deer hunting, but like I was a ballet dancer and like sports like volleyball like never crossed my mind. And so it wasn't until really like a mutual friend that we like knew at the bar, like our favorite like watering hole is, it's a nice bar, but he would talk about like his yearly dove hunts that he would go on with these guys, and 20 guys would go out to the Ford Ranch, and it just sounded so much fun. And he was a collegiate skeet shooter, and so he offered to go teach us one time, me and my husband. And the very first year we went out, it was the summer, and he basically invited us. We made a date, and last minute my husband had to cancel, and I was like, I'm committed. Like I'm going. I want to do this. So like I show up like by myself without my husband, and he's the guys that are there like, where's Clay? And I'm like, who cares? I'm here. Let's do this. Like show me how this is done.
I love that.
Yeah. So I was just like committed, and year went by, and basically the next summer I was like, hey, let's go skeet shooting again. And again, weekend after weekend, I just kept pushing the guys to go with me. And this one gentleman let me borrow his 28 gauge Beretta. And that's what I learned on, was a 28 gauge. Cause he was like, I'm not giving you a 12 gauge. Like you're a female. Like that made just, not that female, I shoot a 12 gauge now, but he was like, he didn't want that to like scare me away of like,
as an introduction. Yeah.
Which some women are like, well, that's too much, so, that's what I learned on. And then I got into a skeet league, and my shooting game got better, but I never got that invite from him to join that dove hunt. And then finally, a friend of mine, Sebastian, in the mutual group, was like, Austin, if you want to come with me and my brother, like we go public land, like it's not sexy like the Ford Ranch. And I was like, yes, like say no more, sign me up, and
right.
And that really was the hunt, or the person that really opened that door to hunting and invited me in.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's really neat. Yeah. So dove hunting has been your primary, which is honestly, we talk about it all the time. We have so many podcasts and YouTube episodes about our dove hunting trips. One of our favorite things to do in Texas. Yeah. Like the last 3 weeks in a row, we've been in the dove fields, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's such a great way. And it just seems like you were like eager for it. So you were like overly eager to get out in the field, which was fantastic. And you just kind of kept that momentum going and just adventure with new different opportunities.
Yeah, it was so like got into a few dove hunts, and then duck hunting came around, and I won't have time to tell the story, but like my very first duck hunt, like I was last minute, couldn't go, and my dog got sick, and so ended up being able to go last minute. I was like, drop me the pin, and he was like, Austin, are you sure? I was like, just send me the pin, I'll figure it out. And there I am, like walking through this like land that I've never been to, and I'm just out there in the middle of nowhere, like, can I even like do this, like what am I doing, and I got there, and the hunt was pretty much over, because by the time I had left late. And so but yeah, that year I pretty much like I really fell in love with duck hunting. And then my friend, they only hunted public land. Like he had kids, like 2 twins, couldn't afford, like, and I can totally appreciate, some people can't afford to do, outfit hunts, right? Yeah. We're dinks, double income, no kids. So my hunting, or my, monetary, money goes towards my hunting habit now. So at the time I was like traveling for work, and I was like, well, I'm going to Colorado. Like, surely there's ducks in Colorado, you know? And I was like, so I'd get on Google and I would just basically call up outfitters and I'd email them too. And because my name is Austin, they always thought I was a guy. They'd be like, hey man, you know, yes, sir. And so there'd be a couple times when I was like, hey, do you have an opportunity for a solo hunter to just like hop on with a group, right? And they'd say yes. And then I'd be like, by the way, I'm a female. Any issue, you know? And there was always like that hesitation because like I get it, like it's a man's world in a way, right? And I know that's evolving and changing even the last just what I've been in it last 6-7 years. And but it was like I knew there'd be like all guys there, and this like female, I'd show up like in Colorado. It was like this my very first goose hunt. I like pull up and I'm like, yeah, hey guys, like all these old guys are there. They're like, what is this random young girl doing here? And they would ask questions and they'd be like, so your husband or your boyfriend doesn't hunt? Like, you're like, nope, it's just me. So people would get like a crap out of that, which is why my name, my brand is Hen and Hunt. So hen for, female mallard, and then hunt for hunting. So that's why, because everybody would always think like Austin, oh, guy. And so, yeah, that's where that came from.
I love that. That's a great origin story for sure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely unique to you. I think a lot of women are just timid. I'm not one of them. I was hunting before I met Brandon. So like we just happen to do it all together now.
We have the same passion.
We both do. And so it's actually a blessing and a curse at the same time sometimes when we have to like split ways. But yeah, I mean, it's just your experience. It's not negative or positive. It's just kind of the way that it worked for you. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with like just sharing that and just people being aware of like, yeah, I still did it. So, it's just one of those things that you're kind of.
Yeah, it motivates
like
women.
The icebreaker.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Well, tell me about if I guess there's anything on the front prior to Namibia, but I know you actually won this hunt, right?
So yeah, one could be a subjective word, but
right. I say one, and then a portion of this hunt, I should say.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like I love ducks, got birdie, we travel, like we do a lot of that. And I had actually really wanted to go international for duck hunting. So 2 years ago, I actually went to Africa and I planned this trip. Didn't tell the husband. He was none too pleased when he found out later. But I booked a trip to go to Africa by myself with Ramsey Russell. He has Gig ducks and he does international hunts, and Africa is one of them, South Africa. So I went on that trip to hunt ducks. That was like ducks,
I would never have thought duck hunting in South Africa.
Oh my gosh. If you ever I know you want to go back to South Africa, but you got to go for ducks. Like,
that's awesome.
Their game it's so cool because like not only do you get like the volume shooting, you also get like the spot and stock experience, but with a duck. And it's really cool.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Yeah, my first banded duck actually came from South Africa. So like 5 years, I'd never got a band. My first band was in South Africa.
You go to South Africa.
Which is like Ramsey was like, dude, 1 in a million. Like that is not heard of. Like, and sure enough, like they don't band like we do, but they do band. So it's like, it was 1 in a million. So it was very lucky that happened. But so amazing trip. If you're a big waterfowl or wing shooter, you go to Africa, I recommend doing both, right? Do some big game, or South Africa, do both big game and then some ducks and upland. But on that trip, somebody had asked for, hey, is there a chance we could get after some big game? And so we all said, okay, yes, we'd be interested. And 5 of the 6 people said, we'll do it. And so we all went after a nyala, which is an antelope. And then
they are gorgeous.
I know. I love mine. So that night comes and Ramsey had also got a zebra. So the zebra comes in and I was like, oh my gosh, I want a zebra too. So that trip, actually, I hunted a nyala, and that was my first actually hunt with a rifle. I had never shot a rifle before. And I was shooting a 308 and perfect shot on the nyala, like epic hunt. It was beautiful. And then the zebra, I got the next day. I went for a zebra, and that that was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I know I flinched. I missed the shot. I hit her knee and I was like bawling, took the second shot eventually. As we got closer, she was down. And so long story short, what ended up happening is like her herd came back, like 3 of the herd came back and they like watched us as we like loaded her into the truck. And I was a wreck, like super emotional. Like I was giving her like a family and saying like I killed the mom in my head and like, how can I do this, you know? And what you really learn in Africa and what I learned a lot with even just the ducks was like hunting is conservation. Like as you know, you've been, right? Like nothing goes to waste, right? I think even more, can you say hunting is conservation in Africa than the States? I don't want to start that, but like, to me, you get to see hunting truly.
It's a culture throughout. Yes.
Yes.
It's throughout just, everyone.
Yeah. So like, so that happened. Super emotional hunt. Got past it. Came back from Africa and I was on this like Africa high, right? Like just like obsessed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like life-changing hunt. Like our geese, we got to feed to villagers, like, that have nothing, right? Like realize like they don't even get protein without us giving protein, right? Like, so like I was super in love with just Africa. Fast forward 6 months later, I went to Safari Club International and they had their convention in Nashville. And I went to learn about Namibia and one of their like, they have like these small separate like sessions. And as I was reading about them, to like, you know, plan my trip, Namibia came up and I was like, okay, another African country. And I sat in the room and I'm learning about it. And they're like saying like, it's even way more safer than South Africa. They're Christians. Like they just talked all about it. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, you know, the pictures. And I'm thinking, well, maybe my husband will go to Namibia someday. And then the next day I went to a ladies' luncheon. It's the Sable's Luncheon.
Yep.
And we're there and they have a live auction.
Yep. And so I'm familiar. Yep.
I was like subjective. So, you know, they're pouring like champagne, like one too many champagne glasses. They're going through the hunts and I was not planning to bid on anything. Like I was not going into this to bid. But there's a Namibia trip and it was for 3 animals and it comes up and they like nobody's bidding on it. It's like a $10,000 package, right?
And y'all, this happens all the time. You guys
are talking about this in your podcast.
This happens all the time.
Yes. So, you know, they're bidding and like it's like $1,500 at this point. And I'm like, if like this trip goes and I didn't put my like hand up, I'm gonna kick myself. So I go in. So then it's like me and one other person going back and forth. And I won it. So I had it for pretty much half price, like a little bit less than half. Well, it was like $4,500, which was to me a steal, right?
Yes.
So I immediately called my husband. I was like, I did something.
But it was a steal.
Yeah, he loves a good deal, right? Yeah. So I went up to the booth it was Jamie Trout Safaris and what I didn't know about them. And that's the only thing that like you have to know when you're going into these live auctions, like, you know, are the outfits like legit? Or do they come like highly recommended? Yep. Like obviously most of those people who are donating hunts usually are, but like you could, like, who knows? Like I've heard stories. So when I told people, oh, I won this hunt, they were like, oh, Jamie Trout, like they're the outfit to go with in Namibia. So I was like, okay, cool. So I talked to them. And the reason I talked to them, I was like, 3 animals, springbok, which Namibia is known for. So like, that's actually their national animal. So like, if you ever want to springbok, like Namibia is a great place to go. That's one of their like not primo, but like what they're known for. Springbok, Hartman zebra. So the zebra I got in South Africa was a Burchell's and this was a Hartman. So it's a different zebra, and then a giraffe.
Yeah.
So when I saw the giraffe, I was like, maybe they'll let me sub it. Cause like, you know, zoo and like zebra and like giraffes are like the zoo animals that we all like know, like growing up with.
Yes. And you said that in your post about how they're on your PJs as a kid, and Jason has them on his PJs.
that's how, I mean, that is literally this connection that we have to them, right? And I think your guest, what was his name? Jared,
yeah.
He was talking about like the giraffes and the way they run. So in South Africa, my number one like favorite animal to see was a giraffe. Like, they're freaking beautiful. Like, they're massive, and you get up close and then you watch them run, and it's like a ballet on the horizon, and they're just like, and so in my mind, I was
insane
like,
how something that large
yes,
moves so fluid. Like it's just like their top line just like it stays flat, and then their legs are, it's like insane.
And to see it in person, like, I mean, and so that's where I was like, oh man, I really liked the giraffes. And I was like, I don't know, like, can I hunt a giraffe? So that's like a big part of like the hesitation kicked in. And I was like, hey, like, could I maybe sub this animal out? And they were somewhat open to it, but the way, so like where the hunt was for was in Keoko land, which is part of Namibia. And Keoko land, in that area, they work on concessions. So what's different in South Africa, or at least in Namibia and where we were, it was based on concessions. And so it's based like on quotas. So you've got concessions, which are, lands, access to lands, and then they work on quotas. So they set the quotas really stringently. And same thing with South Africa with tags and stuff, but it's just a little different in Namibia. So there's quotas. And so like once you sign the quota, like for me, going into the concession I was on, I only had access to those 3 animals that I would be able to hunt. It's not like if I saw a badass eland, like, sorry, you can't pull the trigger, right? Unless you had the permit to be able to do that. And the quotas, again, through the year, once they're gone and depleted, that's it, right? You can't like go pay for another. Like, that's why conservation wildlife management is a big deal, right? And that's how they manage the numbers.
And that's a true indicator of that, is just the way that it's set up like that. Yeah.
So basically, where was I? So they were like, well, okay, maybe like you just think about it. Okay, well, the potential PH was like, look, they also have to be managed and they feed a lot of people. And I was like, okay. So I kind of like then thought, okay, I've got to get my first rifle. So they want you to bring a rifle. They can provide rifles too. Depends on who you're working with, whether you're in different parts of South Africa, wherever you're hunting in Africa. You just want to know like ahead of time, like, are they going to provide the rifle? And we'll talk more about this whenever you're ready, but like, firearms and like what it takes. But I knew that I was going to need to get my own. I knew I wanted my own hunting rifle because what I did experience in South Africa is I had a rifle that didn't fit really well. The optic was not quite a set to my, spec. And look, I'm spending all this money and like, it's a really big hunt. Like, I had a little bit of a flinch thing with the zebra. Like, I wanted to make sure I was prepared. And that meant I felt comfortable shooting my rifle versus just, practicing at home.
Well,
and
that's
then not
an ethical, definitely an ethical drive 1,000%. As far as like making sure that you are comfortable and you have controlled what you can control, right? The controllables that are under your, right. So it's like, that is the number one thing, is like you and like your training physically, but then also your tools and your gear. And that's all of it, right? So your rifle, your ammo, like you have to be comfortable with that. And I agree with you, because I just so happened to have I think it was a 270. It's been so much, I don't even remember what it was, either that or a 300. I can't remember what it was, honestly. I won't even try to pretend. But it was it fit me well whenever we shot at the range when I got there. So I was lucky in that. But that's kudos to you. It's mainly ethically driven, in my opinion, is what it sounds like.
It really was. It was because of the zebra, right? Like, I had a bad shot and I wanted to make sure, like, you're shooting a giraffe. Like, there was a potential of if I was going to go for the giraffe, like, giraffes, you can do body shots, but like most people do more of a headshot, and that requires precision. That requires like knowing what you're doing, knowing your gun, knowing the fitment. And so the other thing was, because I had to switch rifles in South Africa, and even just waterfowl hunting, I know how a female gun, I used to have a female gun, and I know how it fit, right? Shorter lop, higher comb. It fits me so good in comparison, even to my current gun that I love. And so that really mattered. So when I, started looking into my first rifle, like that was going to be important. So that's really why I wanted my own rifle. And I had already traveled over to South Africa with my shotgun. So I knew what to do, right? Mostly, right? For most of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess let's dive into your rifle. So you decided to go with a specific brand and a custom build out. I know that you were super excited about it and watched you post about it. So, and then I guess, how did you decide on your caliber? Like, what was all that whole process?
So again, it was very serendipitous because when I was coming back from South Africa, I was messaging with one of the guys, Garrett, that was on our trip. And he was like, hey, you should listen to this podcast. And it was Q. So Q LLC, Q Rifles, Q Hunting Rifles, but there's Q LLC. And there was their podcast and it was on Spotify. And I literally I think my flight home, I binged the whole podcast. And I just was ate up because I was on this high and listening to Kevin on his podcast. So Kevin is the owner of Q. And he basically left his old companies and set out to start Q, and he built these hunting rifles, and they look very tactical, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you Google Q fixed, you're going to see a bolt action, very
I'll tell you something.
Go ahead.
When I first saw that rifle, so Brandon's going to laugh because I thought it was the most weird looking, atrocious. I was like, what is this?
You're like, this is
and
not
now that I've seen it in person, I'm like, oh, I want one. It's just, it took a while.
Can I say, I think that's freaking badass, dude.
Yeah. It was just I had never seen anything like it. And I was like, what? And I've only been in tactical guns less than a year. I just built my first one. So I'm just getting to the point where I'm appreciating those things. And I've seen, I think it's called the Honey Badger that they have. Yeah. I like it now. And now that I'm understanding more of the AR platform versus bolt guns, and it's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'll eventually get a Honey Badger someday, one thing at a time. But so Kevin was on he was just talking about, and so I was like, okay, he talked about his, different rifles and what they were shooting with the fix. And one of their engineer, Amy, was on the podcast at the time. So I started looking into them, and literally a month later, there was an event here in Austin that Silencer Shop, I think, was at. And
Probably.
It was Quiet in the Capitol, where basically in Austin, you get to shoot for free, and you go and you can shoot all these different firearms because you're shooting the silencers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Q was there. So Jay from Q was there, and I went up and talked to him, and I was like, hey, here's what's going on. I told him, I'm hunting a giraffe potentially. And he was like, you should go shoot the 8.6 Blackout. And I had never heard of the 8.6 Blackout, right? Most have not. And I was like, and he was like, so most people on a giraffe will shoot a 3.7 H&H, right? 3.75 H&H. And that's a pretty traditional round for a larger game, right? And because I was going to be buying my rifle, I didn't really want to buy that because I'm like, okay, well, then what am I going to shoot back in Texas with that? I'm going to spend all this money doing this for one purpose. He was very confident that this 8.6 Blackout caliber was going to be able to take down this giraffe. He was like, yes, it's taking down buffaloes, da-da-da-da. Let me tell you this, Meagan, I need to go post and we'll report back, but I posted on the Africa Hunting Forum about the 8.6 Blackout, and they literally laughed at me. All these traditional hunters laughed at me saying it wasn't possible. And I was talking to Q engineers, and I was just like, do you think it can be done? I want to make sure.
It is absolutely bizarre to me now that I'm learning about it, how much progress has been made in ammunition and different, in the last 10 years, much less the last 5 years. And I have to ask Brandon, okay, that doesn't make sense to me for that hunt. Why does that work? And so it's totally when you go to those events
cool to learn all that.
Yeah, it really is.
And so for me, all of this was okay, now I'm 6 years into wing shooting. I feel like I know some stuff, and now I'm a newbie all over again. And just like you said, I had to learn the optics and okay, 8.6 blackout, like why was it going to work? It's got a 1-3 twist, right? Like the penetration is insane. So I shot it at the event and I loved it. And I was like, okay, I think this is it. And sure enough, like I bought one. And the beauty of it was I ordered the 6.5 Creedmoor. Q hooked me up with the 8.6 barrel. And so I can swap barrels.
That's
if I don't want to shoot the 8.6 and I want to shoot, I don't know, deer back home, and I can do 6.5 Creedmoor, or I can even go down to a 308, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cool like system to be able to
Very
barrel
cool.
swap. Yeah. So got that, got some silencers, picked out my optic. Like it was a whole thing. Like I had to other than this year, I took a full day lesson with Mission Ridge, and I ended up shooting out to 1,000 yards with the 6.5 Creedmoor. Other than that, like I taught myself everything on the rifle, and I was really nervous because like it's a whole nother world. And 8.6 especially, like you have to understand bullet drop.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much
all
in,
the
like,
physics.
Yeah,
and I told Brandon, I was like, I need to learn one piece at a time because it is insane.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like the last like basically a year and a half put myself to learning and trying to get out to the range and practice, probably less than I actually wanted to, but did. And yeah, so decided on the Q, and I was originally toying around the idea, like, do I bring both barrels with me? And I just decided, look, I'm going to take the 8.6 and I'm just going to shoot the 8.6 the whole time. Took supers. I was shooting 210 Barnes, the TSX round, 210 green. And yeah, I mean, it did its job for sure. So, and the other reason I went with Q was what I mentioned earlier was the fitment, right? So I had an adjustable stock. I had an adjustable comb, all the things, because women are built differently. So we need a higher comb. We need a shorter lop. All of those things were perfect. It was a lighter rifle. So if I was going to be
much lighter. Yeah.
Another thing with Namibia is Keoka land has got a lot of ground. So one of the things that's big difference between Namibia and South Africa is Namibia, the reason people like Namibia a lot is it's known for like no high fence and a lot of ground. So it's going to feel a bit more, I'd say, wide open, free range, right? More vast. So if we were on like a long stock and I'm carrying, like I'm a small 5.5, 135, if I'm carrying like a pretty heavy, traditional, if you will, wood rifle with an optic, like that thing can weigh up there, right? And I probably will change my optic to even a lighter one next time just to save some weight. But I mean, still wasn't heavy. But I was able to fold that stock. It's a folding stock, carry it. It was on my back. Like, we'll talk about some of the hunts, but like a number of times I had that thing slinged on my back, like crawling on dunes. It was literally the perfect rifle for my hunt. So it was all meant to be. And it's funny just how everything
talk about a testament for Q. Yeah. Talk about a testament for sure.
I love my Q.
No, I love their content too. And the more I learn, the more I like their rifles too. So I know that I have to save it for one of those though. That'll be after, I think after we're done with kiddos.
It's worth it.
Well, great. So, and you, like I said, I've been following kind of along with your story as much as I could. And so traveling though with your own rifle, right?
Yeah.
And the very specific ammunition, because you wouldn't be able to get it over there, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Like, so 8.6 is not a common caliber. And so like I had to be able to like, and I was even nervous, did I buy enough, right? When I went over, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're good. That basically was just talking about like, it wasn't like really a choice for like, oh, I can just, they'll have ammo or they'll have what I need over there. It's like the gun and the ammo, right?
Yes.
And from what I saw, it was a little bit easier with the gun than it was with the ammo, is what your experience was, right? So tell us a little bit more about like preparing, like what kind of stuff did you have to do? Like what did you prepare prior to your travel? And then kind of what you dealt with from what I heard.
So, a lot of people like just even if you're like, I don't ever travel, like if you're flying across the US to another state, like it's so easy in the States to travel with a rifle or a shotgun.
A pistol or whatever. No.
What was that? Sorry.
You can put your pistol really easily in there. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not, right? But a lot of people still like think like, oh, it's a big deal. So I've been used to traveling with my shotgun, like no problem, right? And I traveled to South Africa with my shotgun. So so I took the rifle, and you have to basically do one thing I didn't do in South Africa was the Form 4457. I don't know how I didn't get like caught up with that. So that form is basically, you get it from the US and it says, okay, these firearms belong to me. They check all the things. They check the, the numbers, and it's basically like your documentation, and you can do it once and then you can keep on to that document and travel with it. So it's basically say Austin Collins owns this Q firearm. And so you can do it at a port. So I was lucky to be able to just go right here in my backyard in Austin at the airport and do it. But I actually didn't do that for South Africa. And so when my travel agent like mentioned that form, he was like, you didn't do this in South Africa? I was like, no, I've never done this form. And he was like, I'm pretty sure like I filled it out myself, and I think they just like glanced at it.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like when you come back to the States, it's a lot more loose in the States than it is when you go over to Africa. But what I will say is, like, if you're thinking about, going to Africa and you want to travel with your firearm, don't like not let the preparation or having to do the permits keep you from traveling. You can totally do it. So here's some things I would just say, tips. Use an agent for your permits. Like, there's definitely agents out there. Henry Permits is one. I actually stayed overnight in Johannesburg, when I flew into South Africa. And so I stayed at Africa Sky, and that's a really big, well-known spot. Actually, I ran into Kevin from Q, his PH. I ran into him the night I was there. So like a lot of the folks stay there, but they actually offer a permit service, and it's roughly the same price. You're paying like $120 to $150. So definitely use somebody to do the permits in South Africa. Namibia permits are actually really easy. South Africa isn't hard. It's just they're a little more stringent. Namibia, they're stringent with a lot of stuff. Like I had to do like a drone permit and other stuff, but their permit process was way easier. If you are traveling first time to Africa with a rifle, you're also going to want to use just like a VIP service to pick you up. All this really is like once you get off the plane in South Africa, you're basically going to be met by somebody, and they're going to help walk you to where you need to go. I didn't do that the second time because I had already been through it the first time. And so like I wasn't going to pay $100 for somebody to walk me off the plane to take me to the South African police. It's just a peace of mind that you know where you're going, and you are in another country. So it's like, it's not a huge
it's
cost.
One less thing. Yeah.
So that would be my tip. If you're willing to like save, okay, fine. But use the VIP service. They're just walking you to. The more important service is somebody helping you do the permits ahead of time, and then when you're there. So it's kind of like three parts. Like you have like ahead of time, somebody helps you, which is like Henry Permits or Africa Sky. There's different companies. And then there's somebody that will help you with the permits when you're there. Because if there's anything like going wrong, you have somebody, a local, who's there to like talk to them. It's not that they don't understand English, they do. But it's just having somebody with you there that's like a representative for you. Do not skip on that. Would be my feedback. Going from South Africa to Namibia is very similar. One thing, if you're traveling with ammo, you're going to want to have like a separate case for that ammo. I traveled with Emirates, and so you're going to want to have locks. You'll obviously have locks. With your rifle, I would say put key locks with your rifle. I'm probably going to recommend key locks now with ammo. The reason for that is my ammo, I had a TSA combo lock, so TSA could get into it. My rifle would have no TSA lock on it. It was like just keys only. The big difference between not having a TSA lock is like if something happens once they've like sent your rifle, you have to be listening to like the overhead. It's not common that it will happen, but it has happened to people that like, hey, something happened and they need to get into it. If you don't have a TSA lock,
and they need you to physically walk with the key to go lock. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why a TSA lock. But when you're going through Africa, because it's your rifle, put a key lock on. Okay. So ammo, I put the TSA lock, which may or may not have been. We'll talk about the story there. But Emirates will have you pack your ammo in a separate case and then put it in your checked baggage. So when you pack, you want to make sure your ammo case can fit in your checked baggage. When you get to South Africa and Namibia, they're going to take that out of the checked baggage and they're going to have your ammo and your rifle outside of your checked baggage and they ship it. So also put an air tag in your rifle and your ammo. So we're going to talk about the ammo. So what happened, this was basically, thank God this didn't happen on the way there. But what happened on the way back was I had my ammo. I had 2 full boxes. I between sighting my rifle, making sure I was good, all the things, I came back with, I took 60 rounds. I came back with 44. So do the math, right? Mm-hmm. So I still had a good $120 of ammo left, right? And Namibia and South Africa, also, you have a handling fee that you have to pay. So in the States, you don't have to pay that, but in Africa, you do. You pay it to South Africa, and you also pay one to Namibia. So when you check in Windhoek, because where we flew in, on the way back, we check in, you show them everything. Yep, you're good. They lock it up. And this is their police, right? So they lock it up. There's a lot of, what I would just say is in general, when it comes to traveling, especially internationally with ammo and firearms, bake in time to your flight connections. Extra. Don't assume that you can do it in 2 hours. I initially was oh, no big deal. No, 3 or more hours, maybe 3.5 between connections, because something will go wrong. And then I'll give you another tip when I talk about that. Something will go wrong, right? So I had checked my ammo with Namibia, and then we took it to get, checked. So then you go pay your handling fee, and then you take your fee and you go back to the front desk and you're like, okay, got my stuff. And literally watched my rifle and ammo just sit there. Nobody put it on the belt, and then we walked off. So I get to South Africa. It's only a 2-hour flight from Namibia, Windhoek, and Windhoek is what it is. Not Windhoek, it's Windhoek. And my ammo does not arrive. And so we get to the South African police station, and they're trying to find it, cannot find my ammo. So again, this is when I had an agent from Africa Sky that I had paid for helping me with this. So we eventually went up to Emirates, and Emirates was like, what do you mean? And they're expecting me to be checking 44 rounds because I've committed to them hey, this is what's on my sheet, right?
Right.
And they were kind of upset about the whole ammo situation. They were like, if it's in South Africa, that's not good. This can't be. So they were actually holding me up from getting onto my flight to go back home to South Africa because of this whole ammo missing situation. It was a big deal. And that's what's frustrating is you pay for these handling fees, and ammo is treated very sensitive, just like rifles.
Right.
But yet, it was lost, and there was nothing that they could do. They couldn't even. What was frustrating is the airline I used, which was Airlink, booked through Emirates, couldn't even tell me, did it even get on the plane?
Right, which they should, yeah. That's there. At that point, it's out of your possession. So, Yeah.
So, finally, I almost missed that flight. Legit almost missed that flight. I was running to go get my flight. Got on the flight, got to JFK, made a case, got back home. Emirates doesn't want to take responsibility because I put a baggage claim in with them. Finally, I made one with Airlink. Airlink got back to me and was like, oh yeah. So I flew on the 19th, the 20th of August. They were like, oh yeah, we found it. It was on the plane on the 20th. And I was like, okay. So they're like, well, how do we get it back to you? I was like, well, you can't send it to JFK because I live in Austin. There's no way for me to get it. So they ended up figuring out that they could route it through United. So I go to pick it up. So it arrived, I think, on September 3rd. Now it's been in South Africa for, 20th to the 3rd.
And this is a ammo can, right?
It's just a little ammo can.
A little ammo can.
It's tiny little green can. It weighs maybe 2 pounds, right?
Right.
So I finally get it on that Sunday on the 7th because I was, anyway. So I pick it up, and when I grab the box, my heart sank. I knew something was wrong. I opened it. I told her, I said, the ammo's not in here. I could feel it. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, I opened it up. And now, when I had talked to United had called me, I was literally in the dove field, like hunting with Boss and Hella Dry on like some Wednesday. And I was like, United Plate called me and she asked me, I think at one point, for the code so that they could get it to TSA. And I'm thinking it doesn't matter, like, because TSA has a lock, so like they could get in. But somebody at one point asked me for the code, and I truly think it was United, but I don't know. Like now I'm questioning, was it Airlink that, like, I don't know. So someone stole it. Like whether, and what I don't know is like, does South Africa have access to TSA locks? Because TSA is like a US thing, right? Like that's our term.
You would think it would be United. Yeah.
I don't know. And so someone stole the ammo. They stole the 2 full boxes and they shipped back the rest. So it just sucks because like the whole time, if I had the air tag in the ammo box, which I didn't think about this, but if I could have been like, hey, this is where it's at, you know, potentially, and found it sooner.
It is on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah. Always put the air tag in everything, right?
I always do.
Don't on the tag.
I put that on my wedding registry because I was like, we need these. So
yeah.
Damn.
Passport. There's like ones. So that would be my tip there. And then, the other one is just travel insurance. Like, you know, if you miss a flight or something, like you're spending thousands of dollars, and we can talk about like my flight. I spent a lot of money on mine. Book travel insurance, right? Whether that's on, like, I have a Chase Sapphire card that I booked my flight on. So they provide a level of travel insurance. But if you're on such a big trip like this, it's worth like going through either World Nomads or Global Rescue or IMG Global. One of those companies. I think I used World Nomads for South Africa, and I think I spent like $150 on the travel insurance for like a $5,000, you know, amount.
Yep.
That is minimal compared to, you know, if something gets delayed, if your flight gets messed up, like, you know, if you get somehow killed, not shot, but like if you get injured in the field, there are some of those with like basically airlift that they can airlift you out of a third world country. So there's different levels, but that would be my other just tip is like, don't skimp on the travel insurance. I'll be honest, I did not get the travel insurance this trip. I don't know why, but I just used my travel insurance with my Chase Sapphire. Probably I just had it because I had booked the whole flight there, and that was what was most expensive. So I probably, looking back on it, regret, like, I didn't use it obviously, but if something had gone wrong that like Chase wouldn't have covered, that travel insurance probably would have come in handy. So just don't skip on it. Bake it into your budget.
I'm almost positive I didn't either, unless my mom purchased. I don't think she did either. I don't think we did.
Yeah,
that's something I'm glad you brought that up.
Nobody likes insurance.
No, I used to work in insurance. Yeah. I used to work in insurance. So, well, okay. So that's like anything. I mean, if you guys have any questions about traveling with firearms, please let Austin know. It seems like she's got quite the experience. Yeah. Cool. So Em writes, I know you flew in style from what I could see.
I know.
That looks so luxurious. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So my first trip, I flew to South Africa, Emirates and Lufthansa. Emirates there, Lufthansa back. And I flew Emirates business class there and Lufthansa first class back. So 2 years ago, I was able to book through Air Canada, and I was able to use points with Air Canada. Like, so you transfer the points.
Yep.
And I got a steal on that, right? So like, you always want to just look at the different airlines, start researching like way ahead of time. So when you're planning your trip, you want to know like, when are you going to go? So real quick, I went in August 2 years ago, and I went again in August this year. And that's because it's like their winter time there. So I would say like, at least in Namibia, they have more of like cause it's very dry, like it's a desert, right? So like, it's like hot, wet summer between November and April. And then it's more mild, sunny, dry winter between May and October. I would say the best month if you're going to Namibia would be like June, July, August. And so
we went to South Africa in June. Yeah. Yep. Okay. The last weekend in June.
It was like probably coming off the summer into going to beginning of winter.
They were having fronts
cooler
that came through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's kind of similar with like August is like, I had really cold mornings and then really cold evenings, but then it would like warm up during the day.
Yes.
So like, I loved it. It's like, I I don't like to hunt super hot, right? Like we live in Texas.
That was the perfect for me too. I liked it a lot.
Get me away from this August Texas weather.
Yeah.
Actually, it hasn't been too bad. It was not too bad.
It's been a mild summer for sure.
Yeah. So that's when I went to Namibia, and then what was I saying? So Emirates. So you want to decide like when are you gonna, and if like you're gonna be going on something, like definitely start researching your airlines ahead of times and start to look like, okay, if it's 2025 now, I'm gonna probably want to look at like 2026 August if I want to start budgeting, just to kind of get a feel for, like, you can only look so far out. But my point is to say, my flight that I booked was pretty expensive, but like I did a quick look before to prep for this, and I was like, okay, if I looked at like United and Delta, like economy was like 1,500 to 2,000, right, round trip. This is going from like JFK to Joburg. Delta Premium, which is like a partial layout, was 3 to 4K. And then Delta One, this is like first class, really bumps, and that was 9 to 10K, right? So like it's usually double. The reason I say Emirates is you can go business class and it's lay flat seats. This is like, guys, unless you're able to find, what you can't with these most airlines, a nonstop flight, you're flying a good 25 to 30 hours. So I spoiled myself with Emirates the very first South Africa hunt. And I couldn't imagine not doing it again. So I just like bit the bullet, and like I used all my points to basically cover my costs. So that's the other thing is like, if you're not already traveling with like a travel Chase Sapphire preferred or some sort of Chase card or other, insert name, you should be spending every dollar you ever spend on a credit card, racking up points, and then using those for these big flights, because it's worth it. Like, you will thank me.
Yeah. Especially like we have some that are specific to like our recurring bills. I have one that's specific to travel that I use. I've had it forever. It's like an American Express. I don't even know the name of it anymore, but like a blue card or something like that. And it's just, I didn't know when I was younger that it's like, oh, well, if you actually like understood credit cards, you can use these for your flights. Yeah. So anyway, but long story short, having those credit cards is like, it's a no-brainer. If you're already going to spend the money, that's the best way to do it.
So I was surprised. Like, I did look up Emirates just today, and like the same flight I would have was like basically 3,000. So I paid a little bit more than that, but I will say it was worth it. Like, my total also included my Namibia flights. But you can fly much cheaper. It just depends on like, decide what you want in the experience. And if you're like someone that's like, nope, I'm going to stick in economy, maybe try to consider the Delta, like, or the next up, like what's called the premium, like, so you can get like a little recline, because you can do the number. So I looked at business class versus the one below, and it was like $900 less. And I was like,
why not?
I'm going to stick with the business, like the ability to like lay out, sleep, like,
especially on the international flights. We did economy, but Brandon told me, he's like, when we go, we will only go when we can afford the business class seat, like minimum. And I'm just like, that would make sense. Like, now that I've done it the other way.
I know. I can appreciate if somebody's like, do not want to spend the money. I can totally appreciate it. But for me, it's worth it. So, because it makes sure like you're recovered, you're off the plane, you're ready to go, and
you're rested.
I don't have to deal with like the jet lag and all of that. And I just make the most. I like hit the ground running into my hunting trip, because if you're not flying nonstop, you're going to have to estimate like 2 days there, 2 days on the back end. So you've got to, do not take less than a 5-day hunting
4
trip.
days.
Do not like
please
travel less than 9.
If y'all don't learn anything from this podcast, at least 7 days. That's like minimum. Yeah. And that's even pushing it, Yeah. Well, cool. So let's dive into, you said, I wrote down the name of your outfitter, but you said it was
Jamie Trout.
Jamie Trout. Okay. So Jamie Trout, you meet with them at what point? And then you kind of, are you guys moving from different locations during the hunt? Or are you staying at one place? Or like, how did your trip start off?
Yeah. So the trip was mainly for the package, right? So it was Keoko Land, 5 days. So I worked with them, and you can always add stuff or change stuff. So they had Panorama was another one of their sites, and they were like, okay, well, we'll do the 5 days. And so, but like, if you finish your game early, we could transfer to Panorama and we could probably get on some other game, right? So their panorama location was it was a little more in the style of like how you would envision South Africa, like more of a higher fence. It's private land, right? It's not your concession. So concessions are different where like you have the concessions, the outfitters don't own the land. They have to actually like bid every so many years to be on that land. And so
interesting.
Say again?
It's interesting. I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought like, are there also privately owned concessions as well? Or is it just all of them are kind of set up that way?
Yeah. So to my knowledge, I think this one in particular was not government land, but it's private concessions, but there's a government element to it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then on concessions, you have conservancies, and there is with the conservancy like a tie into the government as well, right? You have a government representative. They've also that like sits on their like conservancy board or whatever. They also had like a chair and a co-chair that have been like voted in. And so there is like a government element, but it's not like it's owned by the government, if that makes sense. And that plays a big deal into it because when you think about the conservancy, the meat that comes from those lands all goes to the conservancy.
Right.
So whereas if you have a private ranch where you've got a landowner who, look, they're putting in money into the economy. They're providing jobs. They're providing meat to not just their ranches. They're going to keep a lot of the meat, but then they're also going to give some out. The fees that go into it, right? They're also having to put that into, the government with their call them trophy fees or whatever, right? So there's still that government element into it, but it's just managed differently. And then also there's like where the quotas come into play for both. So we were in Kyoko Land. There's 4 concessions that Jamie has access to. And it's roughly, I think, 3 million acres. So there's a lot of land. And so Kyoko Land it's like Namibia is in general is pretty much the size of Texas. It's a little bit bigger than Texas, like 18% bigger. But the population density is like the second lowest in the world. So like, the amount of land, the amount of people, the density is like, right? So the reason Namibia, like I just loved is it really feels wild. Like there was no high fence.
Yeah.
It gives that true wilderness feel. And so, but it's vast. So you're going to be doing a lot of driving, at least in the area we were at. So we basically had 5 days set up for Kyoko Land, and we finished in 5 days of hunting. We finished in 4 days of hunting. So then we transferred to Panorama. And then I also, because I looked at the flights and I was like, if I fly home on Sunday, it's more expensive than Tuesday. So I stayed an extra day, and then I baked in like a touristy day, which we can quickly talk about, but that was amazing. So we got there, met my PH at the airport, and like, again, I was by myself.
Yes.
So, that was another thing. With my package came a non-hunter. Love my husband, but he bailed on me. He's going to be like, no, you booked this trip without me. He was supposed to go. I could have possibly found somebody to go at last minute. It worked out the way it was supposed to. And I loved going solo. If I go again, I definitely love to have somebody there with me, and like you went with like what you said, an all female group, right?
Group,
So
it was a girls trip. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very different. Like I look back and I'm like, it was my version of the hunt, and I loved every bit of it. It was very cool to like just my PH and I would talk a lot, and then we'd have like silence, and we just listen to music, and we drive, and our trucker would be in the truck, and it was a good like me time as well. So picked me up. We're probably Kyoko Land's like 6-7 hours from Windhoek, which is like where you fly in to the main airport. And so we picked up, and by the time we got to the camp, it was pretty much almost dark, basically went to bed. Next morning was basically like sighting in the rifles, shooting prone, shooting off the sticks. So that's another thing I would just recommend from like a tip perspective is like, if you're going to Africa, like buy some sticks that you're going to want to hunt with there.
Yes.
Practice on those. Like shooting off sticks is not like shooting on a tripod. A lot of Africa.
It may look very similar, but it does not feel the same.
Yeah. So I wish I would have done more practice, but I did well. I did well for you know, I was very impressed with my shooting, right? For myself.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I didn't even, I mean, was learning as I went. I was like, we practiced off of him, right? Like during the range or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is another element here. But of course, I mean, with spot and stalk, it's just so much easier for them to have that. And the way that they flip them out, I'm just like I was even having trouble understanding how they worked, to be honest. Like they were so, it was cool though. It was kind of adding to that, like, that wilderness, like spot and stalk, like human nature style. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You probably know what I'm talking about, but it's like, you know, using that instead of a tactical tripod, like it just kind of feels different.
Yeah, it really does. I totally can understand what you're saying. So yeah, we practiced, and then day one was just kind of a warm up. Like we didn't really, we had to actually, well, we did have our first draft stock. And I was nervous AF because
on
I was
day
like,
one.
Yes. And like, okay, so going back to the draft, like I've been nervous this whole time on the draft. And I will say, even before Namibia, I don't really feel like I was super excited. Like I was kind of still like, I'm going by myself. Am I even going to enjoy myself? Am I going to be bored? Literally, I landed in Namibia and I was like, that like totally left my mind. And as we like pulled up to like the camp, like the terrain was insane. Like that whole thought of like, am I going to be bored? I was just like, this place is amazing. I was so excited. So, but I was still really nervous about the draft. And so of course it was like, had to be our first stock. It was like, oh, the best thing and not the best thing at the same time. So we get off the truck. We basically ended up, he winded us, right? And he was a really dark old bull. Like, gosh, I remember like his hide. Like what you want in an old giraffe is you want really dark hide because that's sign of age. And then like really like basically bald. They call them oruncles. I'm not saying it wrong. I'll have to look it up real quick. But it's basically the two things on their head, right? And they fight with those. And that's why they get bald, because they're fighting with those.
They rub all the hair off of them,
Yeah. So that's what you want. And then there's obviously the body, the face, all the things that the peaches are looking for. I will say wish I would have gone with better glass. Like I had good binos. I would have wanted better binos, right? Like just being able to see more like detail. I don't know. Maybe if I get another nice pair, I'm going to be like, oh, it's the same thing. I can see the same exact thing. I don't know. But I do think that would have been a kind of a tip if I would have upgraded, but that's okay. So yeah, we got winded, and the other thing was, he said we could have chased him, like we could have stalked him further. The challenge was the lands. So you have to remember, like you have this thousands of pound animal on the truck, getting that. So across like Namibia is very different. It's very rocky. So like getting the truck in with all that weight and then popping a tire, like, can you imagine? And so you don't want to risk a hunt because you're there for the meat, because you're providing for the conservancy. That meat's going to the conservancy. So you're not going to just leave the carcass there to rot. So like,
it's not an option.
Have to be selected. Yeah. So day one, whatever, was a warm up day, or that's technically like day 2 we were there. But, then the next day, we went out, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we were like out in the morning. Nothing really came. We were on our way back to lunch, and then like out of nowhere, there was a zebra. So we like were pulling, to lunch, and like they stopped the truck, and they like on the like rocky hill was like 3 zebras just like chilling, and they pulled the truck forward. So then it became a moment with the zebra, because it brought me back to the zebra.
So 2 animals that you were probably going to be the most anxious about.
Had to be the first. I was like,
yes.
Thank you, Lord.
Just get it out of the way, I guess.
Yeah.
Golly.
So we like got off the truck, got on the sticks, and like, I wasn't nervous though. Like it was like oh shit, but like I was just focused into like, I know my gun. Okay, what I like had my rangefinder. That was another thing that's like I really wanted to know my range because of my bullet drop with the 8.6 blackout, which isn't a lot in the 100 to 200 yard, but still I was like hyper, wanting to just have every shot be not perfect. There's not a perfect shot. I mean, yeah, you can, whatever, you can say that. I wanted them to be as ethical and clean as possible. So I was like, okay, where is it at? And he guesstimated it. I think he guesstimated it like 115, and then we ended up ranging it like 120. Took the shot. Zebra like ran like 15, 20 yards in the hill, and then she like did a front flip. Like she like literally jumped off the mountain hill, front flipped, and then stopped. And that was it.
It's always so bizarre to see what happens. It doesn't matter how good your shot is sometimes. Like some animals just have stamina, and then they do stuff like that, and you're just like, alrighty. Like, you know.
As she ran, I was thinking, oh shoot, I didn't have a perfect shot, right? Like I'm thinking like, oh, you know, crud. And nope, I came up on that thing. Like we have a video posted on my blog and like the whole thing. And it was like my PH roll off. He goes, bloody good shot, ma'am. Perfect shot. And so I was just like, yes, you know, and that was just so perfect for like the start of my safari, because it was like confidence builder. Like you full circle is like what I've said. Like I had like this redemption where it was like all of the pain that I felt and putting my first zebra into pain, knocking her knee, the whole thing. I came full circle, prepared, and I just like came to do the damn thing. So
you did every single thing you could have done to be prepared for that shot. Yes.
Yeah.
And that probably felt amazing.
Yeah. So it was so good. So yeah, that was the first day. And then even that afternoon, we ended up having an afternoon stalk on some springbok, and that was really cool. Like just stalking in Africa. Like I'm not a big game hunter. So like, I don't stalk. Like I don't stop and stalk. Like it's not a thing. And I just loved it. It was so cool. Like I was like, am I taking like my steps quiet enough, you know? And we did fun. We like called it off for this group. And then as we were pulling out, there was like 2 springboks, and we got off, just me and the PH. And I was like getting on one, but I have an illuminated reticle on my optic, and it's so great for like low light.
I have one on mine too.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. He was like, can you see? I was like, yeah, I can see. And then the light started dropping, and like, it wasn't, I just like wasn't comfortable with the shot. And we just chose, we're like, hey, let's not. Like, it was just like, wasn't meant to be, right? Like every shot I wanted to make sure I was like, it wasn't just that I wasn't confident. It was more that like, I didn't want to take the risk, right? Yeah. And then I make a bad shot because we were just trying to get the one, right? Yep. And so,
and then it's nighttime and you're having to recover an animal that, my goodness. Yeah.
So we held off, which again, it was meant to be. Next day, springbok was like all the springboky day. We had the zebra out of the way.
Good.
We did so much driving, right? Like there's so much driving. And we ended up bumping like 4 dik-diks. We're like driving on these like massive rocky.
Oh, those are so cool. Yeah.
Land cruisers that like, it's just crazy how much like they can take.
Yep.
But the dik-diks like are so rare to see, as you know. So we ran into like 4 of those, which is like unheard of. So I was like, okay, we didn't see anything that morning. We were heading back again to, we were heading out, and then this was like pre-lunch, and we came to this like open field with like all this bushman grass. Now, my PH was telling me, he was like, we've been in a drought for a couple of years, and so like the grasses were like really grown compared to like if you had come that time last year, it was just all red sand. So like Namibia is like red sand. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Red sand, these like rocky horizons, but it had all this bushman grass. So we see a group, and he sees like a really big, ram bedded down under a tree. So he's like, okay, let's make a stalk for it. And there was 2 trackers with us, and he said he wanted them to hold off and just us 2 go. So he's like grabbing grasses, and we're like, he's like, okay, we're going to probably have to like, crawl on our hands eventually. Yeah. So bring some gloves. He's like thorns or whatever. I was like, okay. So we ended up like,
how cool is that?
Yeah, it was so cool. Like, so there I am like crawling on my hands and knees with like gloves. I ended up taking them off at some point, crab walking, and we had about an hour stalk. At one point I was like, gosh, I hope like, and there would be a point where like we'd stop and I'd be like, just trying to like catch my breath, because if we had to take a shot and I was like out of breath,
Yep.
you know?
Yes, that happened to me. It happened to me. We were had a herd of gimbuk in front of me, and I could not take a shot. I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so get some exercise in.
Yeah.
And so eventually we go to take a shot, and he had the sticks, and he had put them prepared for my knees. And when I got into them, I got on them, and I could only see his head. Like I could see his body, but like on a springbok, you're looking for like the brown line.
Oh, the line.
And like you're looking for a specific spot right in the shoulder at the end of the brown line. And I just couldn't see with the grass. And I kept telling him like, I can just see his head. Like, and I just like wasn't willing to just willy-nilly take a shot and pray and, you know, hopefully I hit it, you know, because that was important to me. Like the whole zebra like thing had just stuck with me. So we tried a little bit longer. We eventually called it. And it was just a really cool experience. We were out there, like I had never been on that long of a stalk. And we get back to the truck. He's like, okay, new game plan. He's like, let's just try to like take the truck around, see what they do. And they literally presented themselves perfectly. Like the one ram we were going after, he was at the back of the herd. We pull the truck around and they just stood there. And we were like, let's get off. Like, let's go for it. And we get off the truck. We got set up on the sticks, like 170 yards.
Wow.
I saw him. I like deep breath, pulled the trigger, and he was down. Like, I mean, I literally like saw him like buck and then like drop. And that 8-6, same thing. Like, did a number, like did its thing. What was really cool, and I talk about this in my blog, was the cotton candy smell.
So that was in your video too. So it's in their hair.
That's so cool. Okay, so
they are so cool.
Like, they have like their dorsal hair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they've got a gland like right under that white dorsal hair. And so what's cool when you see them, if you probably saw them out in South Africa, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you'd probably see them like pronking, where they do this like when they jump, they do this like pronking thing.
Oh yes. I was like, gotcha.
Pronking. Mm-hmm. So pronking, basically with the springboks, they will do this to alert. And it's usually like either excitement or fear, right? Like, hey, they're alerting. And so that smell, that cotton candy gland creates that smell and that scent for the other ones to say like, it's like an in danger, and that's when they're doing that. So they're pronking. And so when they die, they do that. And so like then the gland, so when you come up on one, the hair's like,
it's highly like expressed and
real like up there. And then if you get into it and like we smelled it, and it was like cotton candy, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
What a wild, nature is such a amazing,
beautiful, right?
Yes. I love that.
So, you know, again, prayed over it, super grateful, really old ram. My pH estimated like 8-9 years old, because we looked at it and you could see like the secondary growth. So on springboks, you want like, he said you want like the back, you want the horns to kind of like be going back and like in, as well as like what he really looks for is like the behind and the in. So beautiful and like secondary growth, you know. So I got some photos on the blog, and just again, like being patient, waiting for the right one, not rushing the shot, like that.
And you still got the experience too.
Oh yeah,
of the
and
stalk.
some could say like, oh, it was an easy shot, and it's like we still worked for it, you know, and
he wouldn't be in the spot where you took your shot if you hadn't done. That's how I think about it, for sure.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah,
so we had
that
like
is really
2
cool.
of the 3 down, right, and like everything was lining up perfectly. Later that day, let's see, that was it pretty much for that springbok day. And then the next day was giraffe, right? Because that was all that was left for in that concession. So that day, like I ended up in total going after 5 bulls. Now, the first bull was on that first day we talked about. There was another bull that happened before the zebra, and that one we had got off the truck. It was like older bull. It was a super short stock. It was just the same situation where it was like, there's no way we can get this thing out of here. So like, we're not even going to go for it. So that was the second bull. Third bull was that morning. We had gone to the mountains and we had like basically climbed up and like glassed. And, you know, I think you said this in your podcast was like, their eyes are so trained. So you're like, wait, how did you
what
find
are you
that?
looking at?
Like,
No, I got so mad when I was a mountain reed buck that I ended up getting, but I was like, it took me, felt like ages to find him. Like, I'm just like, where is this thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Your trained eye over like 10 days got better. 'Cause, you know, and it's so crazy. The pHs there, like what's cool is they go through a 3-year, oh geez, it's not an internship. It's,
oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm not gonna be able to think of the name either.
It's not an internship. It's,
apprenticeship?
Yes, apprenticeship. Yep.
There we go.
There's just 3 years. And it's much longer than South Africa. And you have to be a Namibia resident. So, those guys, like, they know so much about everything. It's crazy how much they know. They even have to do taxidermy, I learned, which is pretty cool. Like, they have to, like, basically taxidermy.
Wow.
Yeah, in their chest. They have to be able to skin and taxidermy.
That's such a specialized thing over here versus, like,
yeah, I
there's
asked
so many
them,
people
I
in
was
Guide
like,
that would never even touch taxidermy.
Yeah, I was like, why would you have to taxidermy? Like, you're the PH. And they're like, well, think about it. Like, if something happens and, like, it's just me and them, like, I have got to be able to, like, get that animal, you know, skin it and do it in the field.
Prepare the way it needs to be. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because they're a big deal in that. So, yeah, they glassed one and we tracked it twice. We couldn't catch up. Like, we couldn't, we got off, you know, you'd go in, you'd try to get in behind it. So you'd, you know, catch the, you know, make sure you're not getting winded again. And, we were trying to catch up, but those things they cover so much ground because they're so massive and tall. And, Mopani flies, I don't think I mentioned this, but the zebra, was my first experience with Mopani flies. So they're these like bees. They're actually bees, and somebody changed their name to Mopani flies. They're stingless bees, and they love your ears and your ears and your nose and your mouth where there's like water.
Oh Lord!
And so when you sweat more, they're attracted to it, and so they'll be like, and they're like all around you. And if you start swatting them, it gets worse. And if you kill one, they release a pheromone which attracts them, like bees.
Yeah, like, just like bees.
Oh my gosh, they were the bane of my existence. Like, they came after me at the zebra, and like I didn't know not to kill them. And sure enough, as I'm like taking like my zebra pictures, I'm like, take it, and they're like all over my face, and like the camera, like some of my photos have like Mopani fly like figures all over the camera. So there I am, like tracking this like giraffe, like trying to like breathe and just not think about the Mopani flies attacking me. So next tip would be get a Mopani net. That way, like, you don't even have to worry. I know it's not sexy,
oh my
but
God.
It would be very functional.
You would do anything for one of those probably in that moment.
Yeah. So the second to last draft was like the fourth draft. And this one was like pretty rough because we tracked it for like good 2 miles. Like we bumped it. We just like, you know, weren't paying attention. Not paying attention, but like it happens, right? Like you bump into an animal and he was a good one. So we were like, okay, let's try to go after him. So we did. And what was really cool on this one was we got to like basically track him with his prints in the sand. So because Namibia's got like sand, you can look, and it's really cool to watch the trackers do their job. Like, so we had so in Namibia, what you also hunt with is a game guard. So a game guard is somebody who is a representative of the conservancy, and they're there to basically represent the conservancy so that if something were to ever happen, like let's say you had to shoot an animal that like went to attack you or something went wrong, the game guard is there to witness. So they're there with you, and our game guard was really good at tracking. He actually was like finding tracks better than our own trackers. I shouldn't probably say it out loud, but like, I think he was really good. He like would
Yeah.
find the tracks and he'd be like, no, here. And then like our guys eventually were like, oh yeah. And so like they were all really good, but like I just noticed he had a skill set.
Yeah.
So and it was cool. Like they would like pick up stuff and they would like, then we'd lose a track and we'd try to figure like, okay, which way did he go? And then we'd pick it back up. So we eventually, again, he caught us at one point, like he saw us and then he took off and we kept after and eventually.
It's so crazy though, because his vantage point, like, how do you not get seen?
I know.
So, and you said
It's
earlier
like,
that they winded you, so they have good smell too, as
yeah,
well.
yeah, and we had estimated it wrong to where like we came in and so just the wind was the wrong direction. So, for us. So, so eventually like that one was tough because it was like middle of the day. It started to get warm up. Like I was like trying to like walk, keep up with my short 5'5" legs. And these guys are taller than me. So they're covering ground and I'm like, trying to keep up. And I've got like my sling over my shoulder with my gun. And I'm trying to take off a layer and like try not to sweat because I'm a pawnee flies. And it was a whole thing. So we get back to the truck and I'm like, oh my gosh, all I need is like water and food. And so we get water, I like get a snack and we're like, I'm ready to eat lunch and be done. Right. So we're heading back for lunch, literally playing music. I'm not even thinking about giraffe. I'm just thinking about getting back and eating.
Yeah.
The truck stops. And I'm like,
he saw something.
Okay. So then they're like, hey, we think they're like, come on. So there was a giraffe and this was it. Like I scramble out of the truck. I like get my rifle. Like I didn't even have a lot of time to like think about it. And
you just like switch gears so fast.
Yeah. And get onto the stick. So like what was cool about this setup at least was the bull was like about 100 yards in and like we're in a riverbed. So that was actually one of my favorite things on Namibia was like you got to drive in these riverbeds with like really like a lot of sand. And so like the truck would just, you'd have to like, turn because you just be, driving in the riverbed. So cool. And so that created like this like natural shelf. So we were like down on the shelf, if that makes sense. So it kind of gave us like, he was higher up.
You were coming up underneath.
We had like more of the land to be able to like protect in a way, like the all the not greenery, the foliage, right? And so we're on the sticks and I mean like I have a video, it's 90 seconds. Like I went back and I was like, I was standing there forever. But
it felt like forever. Yeah.
I know. So we had talked about shot placement. We had prepared for this. And the shot that I had wanted was originally between the ear and the eye. That's what my kind of friend, Amy, she's the engineer at Q. I knew she had hunted a giraffe and that was like where she hit. She was like, that's a great shot placement. So when I told my PH, he was like, I really like the frontal and he like told me where. So when we come up on
chest?
Yeah. So it's like below like these like two bones, like there's like these like big bones. So he likes the frontal. Well, when we come up on it, he was like, okay, it's between the eye and the ear. So I was like, here it is, my shot that I wanted. So there I am, like, and I'm like, okay. And I go, and then right when I was like almost about to, he turns. And I was like, no. And so he was like, okay, it's behind the ear now. And I was like, no. Like it's hard to hear me on the video, but I'm like arguing with my PH. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, no. And like, I was just thinking in my head, we didn't talk about the shot. Like, I don't know what behind the ear means. Like, does that mean here? Does that mean here?
Right.
Like, I was just
high, low, left, right.
I was so nervous with like, can't fuck this up. Here it is. Like, I'm on the giraffe. I haven't at this one point had any points where I was like on the sticks, ready to shoot.
With it in your sight. Yeah.
So then I was like, no, and I was like, get him to turn. And he turns and he was like, okay, between the eyes. And I was like, no.
Oh my God.
I go, between the eyes, like question mark. And he was like, between the eyes. And I was like, between the eyes?
Okay, that's easy enough to understand.
So I'm just trying to like, just calm my breath.
Oh God, that's too much.
Just take the best shot. And I finally pulled the trigger. And like, you can see it on the video if you know what you're looking at, but I saw him. I shot, I pulled off, I probably pulled off my gun too much when I saw him, he drops. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just dropped. Like, there was no run. He just dropped. And I was like, I racked another, and he was like, let's go. So he just like went forward. We got there, and you were talking about like seeing your sable like kick, right?
Yeah. He was basically having a nerve. His back legs were having a reaction.
Yeah.
It killed me.
Yeah. So that's how it was for the giraffe. So we like get up on the giraffe, and he's down, and like I've got video, and somebody the other day like was like, oh, you should post the video, and I was like, I don't know, like
nobody will understand. I never did any kind of anything. I talked about it, but like,
yeah,
I was just like, people they just won't wrap their head around it, because it was hard for me and I understood it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, it's just not worth,
It's
up to you. To me, I was not prepared to deal with the blowback on that if it did happen.
Girl, I cried. Like, trust me. Like, we get there, he's down, but he's like bleeding out his nose, and because like again, I hit him like between like, if the eyes were here, I probably hit him like right here, like between the eyes, but a little to the right of his nose. And he was expiring, right? And like my PH told me, he was like, they're really big animals. So he had me put a few more rounds like in his chest.
Yeah.
Just watching him pass was it was tough. Like,
I agree with you.
I like said I was sorry. I wasn't sorry for killing him, right? Like, I understand the purpose of hunting in Africa, that if we were like Kenya, like many of your viewers are going to be hunters, so they're going to get it. But like in Kenya, they abolished hunting in the late 70s.
Yeah.
The inverse has happened to where their populations have truly decimated and declined. Whereas in South Africa and Namibia, where you've got these conservation quotas, wildlife control, increased hunting, they're thriving in the populations because you're truly managing the cycle, right? And so
they have a value. There's a value assigned to that animal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I was like, but I was like telling him, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was more sorry that like, if there was any pain, I never want an animal to experience pain. Right. But I also know that it's not realistic that every hunt will be painless for that animal.
Right.
And like, all I know is that like, I took the most clean, ethical shot, and it was a quicker death. Like, I think I looked back at the video, it was probably 7 minutes that it took. And he was like, my PH was like, that was pretty fast for most large animals. He was like,
that's
large
a normal
animals
part of it.
Time.
Yeah.
And like at some point they're gone, but like their body's still, like you said,
can still, like if you're looking in their eyes, it's the same thing. Like you look in their eyes, like they're not conscious, but it's still hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It was tough. So
yeah.
I mean, and so I know we're getting long on this, but I was just like, this animal is like insane. He had lion scars.
I was going to ask you about the scar, if that was a scar, because I couldn't.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, holy shit, that looks like he's wow.
Yeah. So like all on his like rear hind leg, like on the inside of his hind leg on the left one, his right side, his back, like there's videos, but there's pictures on my blog, and there's like these deep gashes, and like I would put my hands in the gashes and like felt the scabs, and like there was one scab that like stuck up off his body, like as if you had a scab that was there but like healed, and then it was like still off your body, and it just stuck off his body like almost like a hook, it was crazy.
Bizarre. What a tough animal.
Yeah, his I think it's called, I have to look this up. It's gonna bother me.
It's gonna bug you, yeah.
Called,
I just assumed they were like horns, but yeah, I'm sure they had a better name.
They have a fancy name.
Yeah.
I tried to type it in, and it literally typed in
like
giraffe.
What?
Not a giraffe. I'm so sorry.
No.
They're called, that's right, ossicones. I knew that. I was like,
ossicones. Okay.
Ossicones. Yeah, they're cartilage, or they're hardened into bone, right?
Yeah.
And then there's on top of the ossicones is the skin, and then the hair, And then over the time, they're actually not horns, which is why people think they're horns, but they're like these like bony protrusions. But
Yeah,
that
I
is
guess
what,
I just assumed it because they're on the skull. And so I was
yeah,
like,
many people think
yeah.
like horns. So they do what's called necking, which is when they fight. They
Oh
basically
God,
do this
that's
necking.
crazy to watch. Did you see that in person?
So yeah. So like you'll see like on his head, he's got these spots, not just on the ossicones. He's got spots like on his head from other fights with these giraffes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do when they're old and they're aggressive. And they want to kill the young bulls, right? So like that's why we target the old bulls. And so it was just really cool to like, I mean, he was a warrior and like you can make the case for like, oh yeah, he went through a lion fight and then you shot him.
Some people will, I'm sure. Yeah.
But that being said, it was a pride to be able to take down an animal that has lived the life, that has lived a warrior, and that's like the right animal that you should be going for.
And think about how much better that was for him than to be eaten alive by a lion, if I'm being completely honest.
Bled out like a giraffe earlier that week.
Yeah.
So
where they're not even,
one of the giraffes, we actually passed by a carcass. It was a whole giraffe carcass. Two giraffes had gotten in a fight. One of them, because they do this necking thing and they literally will knock them off their feet. One of them broke its leg and bled out and died. And like, that's the way that giraffe
those aggressive bulls. Yeah.
Like, and that just happened literally a few days before we were there. Cause he took me back. Oh my God, the smell, it was so rank. But yeah, I mean, I just, the sheer beauty and the mass of like that animal, like when they were eventually, going to carve it up, like just feeling like his head, I have pictures of him holding it with his head. Like we had 3 people holding his neck up, like they're massive. And
it's hard to, it feels like the Twilight Zone. Like it's first of all, you have the emotion of you killed this animal, right? And then you kind of get past that a little bit. And then you're like, oh my God, this is actually a living like it's so you see him at the zoo and I get it, like you can see him from, and even feed him, so you kind of get it, but then like until you're on the ground with one, like it's just even the ones that aren't large animals, the ones that have because in Africa, if you guys know anything about the game, like I think all of them are gorgeous. There's not one animal in Africa that I'm like, that's not an amazing representative of what God's work looks like, because they're just so colorful. Or they have, like you said, the Inyala earlier, they're one of my favorites. Like their horns are exquisite. And so it's just like seeing that in person, you go from this like kind of a sadness of taking the life into this appreciation, into this like, wow, amazing, like for me, that's the way it was for me.
Yeah,
and it just sounds like the giraffe that, I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's being able to like experience that on a level, and yes, it came with the death of an animal, but at the same time, it's going to feed so many families, right? The amount of meat that animal produce, and then but being able to be there and experience an animal like that, it truly gives you a connection with nature that non-hunters will never experience. No. Right? Like you're able to experience an animal in such a way, and it's such a privilege, right? To be able to be up close and personal with an animal like that, when like they're just so majestic, and like God, I touched like every part of him. Like I even was like feeling like his eyelashes.
Yes, yeah.
And they're like thick hair, like so thick hair, and his tail and his. I just touched every part of him, his ears and his. I just, if it was for me, they probably would have let me sit there for hours just
stroking him, just
touching him. And
I think that's the cool thing too.
Eventually, like, get to work.
The details. Like they're huge, right? We broke down an eland that we had to transport, walk him over water, then load him up, then transport him. So like a nap giraffe is like obviously 3 times that size, but I get it and how they're just kind of like, okay,
let's are huge.
Get these pictures done, what I was gonna say is the actually that kind of segues nicely into the picture thing, because I was just like, can I just have like 5 minutes to do, like you're talking about the coats and the horns, and like I really liked taking detail photos of all those kind of things. Like I won an award for a red lechwe. We had a horn photo that I took of my mom's, and it was just the way that it was just a really cool photo. That was a Houston Safari Club entry. I love that photo so much. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a true appreciation, and it's like full circle because you know where it's going. Like, and that was one of the biggest things for me. I wanted to know. You probably heard that on the podcast. I'm like, what do you mean? I know I can't take it home, but like, where does it go? Like, I want to know. This is weird for me to like just have it end and then, you know, not know what happens after that. So, I mean, as far as that, like, you knew from when you were, I guess, did you learn about the distribution and how it works for the Namibia area when you were starting in that course or that safari club, like concession? Was that like where you learned all of this?
Yeah,
and like,
we were lucky. I got to take the zebra meet. The zebra and the springbok we were able to take to the conservancy the few days prior, right? So we ended up going to the village, and like I had gotten an opportunity to meet with like different villagers. This specific village, they had one of the game officers meet us at the village, and so the game officer accepted the meet.
Nice.
I've got a video of that.
That's
and
so cool that you were part of that.
And I only wish that like I could speak to them in their language. Like that's the only like you want to talk to them, you want to converse with them, and that's the only downside. I didn't really have like a good I was trying to get my tracker to translate. I was like, translate for me. So it was really cool. There was this one girl, Mommy. She was like one of the older ladies there, and we were cheersing beers, these kind of like black label beers, and like a celebratory beer. So my PH that night, once we took they broke down the giraffe, like I took the full skin. I'm going to do a Euro mount. I couldn't decide. Like that's the other thing. When you go to South Africa and you know what you're going to hunt, come prepared to know before the hunt what type of mount do you think you're going to want, because that will matter. And you don't want to make last minute decisions because they will then skin them based on what you're going to do. Yes. So if you're like, well, I'm just going to do a shoulder mount or a pedestal mount, and then you don't know that,
and then
and so you'll want to know that ahead of time. So I was like rushing to decide, like, okay, what do I do? Like, because the giraffe was so like old and beautiful, I was just like, maybe I do want the whole giraffe head. And I was like, well, maybe I could do like a part neck. And then I was like, I didn't have signal, so it's not like I could like Google pictures,
look it up,
you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just said, okay, we'll do the Euro mount. We'll do the full skin. We're taking the bone. I took the bone, like the full legs, the hooves, and the skin all attached to the legs. So what I love to do is I want to find somebody that can do like a table, like with 3 legs, like a tripod, and like a round table, like a low, and then take one of the legs and they do bone carvings. And so like they have like, they're massive. They're like these really big legs, right? And so then they do a bone carving into it. So that's what I would really like to do. So that's what I took. And then they take all the meat, like, and as you know, literally the intestine insides is what gets left. Everything goes. And so my PH took, because it was getting dark, he ended up taking, where he had to take it this time was going to be like another 30 minutes past the first village we went to. And that was a pretty, like, it's a pretty rocky drive, like up and down and all the things. And he was like, hey, you're going to miss dinner. So like, he also knew that because we were going at night, that there wasn't going to be villagers there to accept the meat. He was like, so just stay back. I was kind of bummed. I really wanted to be able to like be there to give the giraffe meat, but it's more important to give the meat over than like hold on to it. And then that way we were able to get to our next concession that next day. Otherwise we would have delayed. And so it was just a whole thing. It was just a decision factor. So all the meat goes to the conservancy. And so what's really cool, I didn't mention earlier, is the conservancy controls the meat. And so the conservancy has like a list of the families in the concession in the conservancy, right? They're part of the conservancy. So it's like a registration. They're all registered to this. I gotcha. In a way, yeah. And so they distribute who it goes to, and they rotate families. So they make sure that people, so it's not like, okay, only these families. So they control all of it, and all the meat and the fees like go to them. And so that's what's really cool about that, is that's truly conservation, like as an example. Absolutely. And so they take it all and they'll distribute it out. And they don't like most of the way they eat it is they're just going to boil everything because they don't have fridges. So
it's
this
safer.
meat will just stay, and they make like biltong and things like that. But like over the time, the meat just, they have to boil it, right? And all they do is boil. So it's really cool. Biltong is amazing, by the way, as you know.
Biltong is amazing, and anybody who compares it to jerky is no,
there's no comparison.
And my friend Chris Abigail, we just released a podcast with her. She makes biltong, and she brought some. Like every time we go somewhere, I'm like, "Did you bring meat snacks?" Because it's so good.
Oh, they're so good.
The biltong, and then I don't know if you drink wine, but the red wine in Africa, oh my gosh,
so good. Yes, South Africa wine is so good. Oh,
so
I found a nice bottle of Blanton's though there, and so that was my camp spirit that I would drink and dance around the fire by myself. One night I got kind of, toasted by myself and was just dancing around the fire. I was like, there was like lions in the area. So that was another thing I didn't mention was like, we had lions in the area. So a lot throughout the days of hunting in Keoko land, we could see lion tracks, and there was 3 lions that were together as a pride, 2 females and a male, and they were definitely spooking the animals. So like, in that time, like they knew, and the trackers were kind of nervous with the lions. They like wouldn't want to walk over. So like their place where they slept was pretty close, but they wanted my PH roll off to go pick them up like at night or drop them off. They didn't want to walk. And they're in the area, but like he basically told me like, hey, like once you go down for bed, don't try to get up and go get water. He was lions will come out and they like the warm fire. So they'll lay by the fire. He was like, so just take a bottle of water and you can like take it. He was like, just don't exit your tent. We never saw lions, but we saw a lot of tracks. And they were covering a lot of ground. Yeah, we saw elephant tracks, which was really cool. That was really cool. So that was it. And we transferred to Panorama. And Panorama was closer to Windhoek. It was like back south. And we had like a day of transfer, and then when we got to like, probably don't have time to get in the camps, but like the camp I was in Keoko land is like primitive, but like it was cool because because they're on a tender where like they have to tender and then they get to be on it like a lease for so many years. Nothing that they build there can be permanent. So like while everything looked more permanent, like in theory everything there would have been able to be torn down. So they had concrete floors, and they had like a shower where like they built everything. And so you had a shower, you had water or toilet. The warm water they had to run with a generator and everything, but it was pretty primitive, but I loved it. I loved my camp. And then we went to Panorama, and Panorama was even nicer. And that's the other thing about South Africa that I noticed in just like my experience and research is like the South African lodges can feel like way nicer. Not way nicer than Namibia, I would say, but they're a little more luxurious.
I was surprised with them. Yeah.
Right. You were like, this is so nice.
It was like, bougie. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I felt too in South Africa. So when I got to Panorama, it was nicer. And so I was like, I kind of miss my camp, I was like, oh, I kind of missed my like little spot. And what was really cool is I was the only hunter. So like, it was just me. Like I had the cook, I had the chef, like everybody was there at camp to like be for my hunt.
What a crazy, I love that.
It was very,
there's just
I
not
felt
many
very
women.
spoiled.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was there by myself, like
that have done that. Exactly.
Yeah. It was really cool. So transferred to Panorama. And then the only 2 things I was like wanting to bonus hunt was a gemsbok, or in South Africa, they'll say hemsbok. But in Namibia, they say gemsbok. And an ostrich. And so those were the last 2 animals that I really wanted. Long story short, like the ostrich, we went after that first one. I actually had my first like prone shooting, and we like belly crawled up, and we were 220 yards. That was my longest shot. Springbok was like 170, and we were 220, and I had
that's significant. Yeah.
It was pretty. I was very impressed with myself. And I took the shot, and the ostrich like ran with the other two, and my PH was like, "Yeah, it's running. I see blood like just squirting out of it." So it was just like squirting, and he eventually fell and lay down and passed, right? And that was it. And so the ostrich, I really want to make into ostrich boots and
full quill.
Yes. So that's my goal there. I've had the ostrich meat. It's not very tasty in my opinion. I don't love it. Springbok was phenomenal.
So good.
Oh,
I remember they had some of that. We didn't hunt that, but I had some at dinner one night when they made it for us. It was delicious.
Oh, it's my favorite. What was your favorite?
Probably that. I think we had that. We had zebra. We had gemsbuck. I have gemsbuck here at the house too, which I do like gemsbuck.
Yeah, I do too.
Because they have them here in Texas, and so somebody got it, and I have it in my freezer. Yeah. But springbuck,
lucky you.
It's like my favorite meat of all time is Axis. I have not had elk yet, so I would compare it to Axis, like as far as like how much it was just like. I mean. The only thing I would have changed is if it would have been a little more like rare but they were feeding a whole group, so it's fine.
Yeah, so it's already rare. Yeah, I love my medium rare. Yeah, my chef, he was awesome. I was like medium rare, so I was really excited about the zebra because before this trip, zebra was my favorite.
Yeah,
the
zebra was good.
We had in South Africa was so tender. It was better than Yala in my opinion.
I never had it in Yala, so that's something I didn't try.
Oh, it was good. It's very good. It's another antelope, so all the antelopes are good, but
they're all good. Yeah, right.
Springbok is my new fave. So my new fave, and then zebra, and then gemsbok. Yeah, we had hartebeest. That was the other cool thing about being in Panorama is we had like more because they have like different species there. They get to keep more of the game for the
so more diverse plains game. Okay, gotcha.
Well, not diverse. I mean, there was both. Like I did like a list of both. I definitely saw more game on the private land, but they get to keep it for the camp, right?
Yeah.
So you get to experience more of it. Yeah. So they cook with it a lot for their staff and the guests, right? The hunters.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. They're keeping. I got you. So they're keeping a portion of
giving it to the conservancy.
I hear you.
Yeah, so they have more on hand, so you get to eat the wild game a bit more.
I love that.
Yeah. So
very cool.
It was cool. That spot. They had like 2 meerkats, so I got to like hang with these meerkats, Pablo and Freddie, and that was really cool. Like the owner of the I'd say lodge, the camp, she raised them there, and so like they're wild, but like fun. They're very docile. Yeah. And sometimes some of the animals would like come up to like there was one not gemsbok, what's the other one? I'm blanking out. One of the bucks, and he came up and he was like hanging, like he was trying to like eat the grass. He's like, oh, this grass is good. So he was a little more in the area because they were like, yeah, sometimes we'll get like wild animal that like, is a little more like, what's going on here? And then they like, run off. So, and then the gemsbok hunt was, I don't know that I messed this one up. I'll own it that I didn't shoot. So, but what happened was like after the ostrich, we like went back out. We ended up like running into some gemsbok. We found a herd of gemsbok, and when we found this herd, it was like 40
Your
gemsbok.
PH is like, we did not just run up on some gemsbok.
Yeah, so I'm like, but we like belly crawled up the dunes. Like it was a whole thing. It was just like the most perfect like experience of like a challenging hunt. Like we had a belly crawl, like I had to roll, like all the things, right? And like there I am with like my, Q rifle, like folding stock. It was like so perfect for this because like the red stand gets in everything, and just a small figure trying to like pick up your gun and like be super stealth and all the things. It was just like perfect for it. But we were like, I was lower, so like I wasn't like just peeking. You don't want to peek so bad, right? But you're like, I don't want to mess it up. So I was lower down and like waiting, and he kept, glassing, and like we were there for quite some time. And then we started to get ready, and he was like showing me which one, and he pointed out a female. And I guess we probably, looking back, should have discussed more like, do you want length or do you want age, right? Because you can have age and it doesn't mean it's going to be real long, right? It could, but it could also not. And so he was going for like a female that was like an older bull that was like big bull, right? Or not bull, but big female, big body. And when I finally like went to go like, glass him and like get into my scope and see her, I was like, I don't know, like I really didn't want her. I was like, so then he was like, okay. So then he started to pick out like 2 bulls and that were longer with their horns. And so he was like, okay, this one and this one. And there's like 40, mind you. So there's like
there's big herds.
A lot. And they're about 200 yards out. So he's telling me which 2, and we're going for like, we're trying to just wait for them to make the right turn, right? One or the other. Waiting. One turns, not really, another. And then so finally, like at some point we start to lose the shots on them. And he turns to a third one, my PH did, and he was like, okay, this one now. And in my mind, I was thinking, he's only telling me this because like we're about to lose the herd. Like, because the herd started to kind of like feel something was going on.
So he's reaching,
like,
right?
I thought he's just going for like a Hail Mary kind of last minute one, right? In my mind. And I don't take the shot, and then that was it. Like, we lost him, and that was it. And he was like, that's it, we're done. Because it was like, that was it. Like, we couldn't, he was like whistling to try to get them to stop again. And that was it. But like, we were there like a solid, at least an hour. Yeah.
Just like back and forth. The second from the right. Like, yeah.
If you know glassing,
Fatigued.
like he's prone, we're prone. He's constantly doing this, his neck, like you get tired. So
yeah,
I think he was mad. He shouldn't have been mad, but like, cause like I am the guest, I'm the client, right? At the end of the day, but I understand why he was frustrated. Cause he was like, I wouldn't tell you to just to shoot. He's like, I'm not going to tell you to shoot something if I don't think it's worth shooting. And that's where I also should have trusted my PH to know, okay, you're the expert. You're not going to just put me on some but it was like, we had 40 to choose from. So it just kind of felt that. So, I was like pretty upset about that because it was a perfect hunt up to that period. It was like, we got every single animal, 1 animal a day. And that was the last thing on the ticket. And so we still had 2 days left technically, but like the next day was supposed to be a transfer day to go to do a touristy thing. And then we were going to have 1 more day or 2 days touristy and then 1 more day of hunting before I had to fly out. So I only had 1 more day left for the Gemsbok, and it was going to be an afternoon thing, I think it was. So I ended up making kind of like a last minute call where like we were supposed to stay at our touristy spot 1 extra night. And I was just like, hey, let's not stay here. Like you and I would rather go hunting.
Last, right.
So we ended up traveling back early, and then that way it gave us another full day of hunting. So I kind of felt like that last day of hunting was like a revenge day, and we couldn't make it happen. Like it couldn't happen. Like it wasn't meant to be, and it's a reason for me to go back now. It just like would have been the most like perfect hunt if I just pulled the trigger, and like had the Gemsbok. But looking back, like every shot that I took was the most, in my mind, confident, clean, ethical shot. And I came there to do what I said I was going to do. We did it. The bush provided like the most perfect, scenarios as it could for me. And the Gemsbok just wasn't meant to be, but that was a bummer because it was like, oh, if you just shot,
it's like ending So, but I mean, that's the thing. Fun. It's like, it really shows, like, again, revisiting that, like how purposeful and how intentional you were, like with your rifle choice, with your training, with everything that you did. Like, it doesn't surprise me that even if you had a doubt, you were like, no, like I'm not. So I think it's something good. Like you said, it's just not meant to be. Like if there was any figment and then something went wrong, like, you probably would have beat yourself up about it for so long.
Would have probably finished the whole trip on like a sour
and it would have ruined it.
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
But it sounds, gosh.
Oh yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
amazing. And I'll leave it at this. We ended up, we took a trip to Sosavle, which was we went to Deadvlay. And I haven't really gotten to post that yet on anything yet, but I'll see anybody listening, and then I haven't, you stay tuned, but that was amazing. Like, we ended up getting to stay out this place called June Star, and they have like these cabin areas where like basically the bed is on casters, and so you can open the doors and you can roll the casters onto the patio, and you get to sleep outside under the stars. And like,
oh my God,
because it's cold at night, so like you have all these blankets, and so I just like piled myself with blankets, and nobody else that night slept out under the stars. Only me, only the girl. Like,
that's so cool.
I was like,
there was one place we stayed at.
I was like giving everybody shit because the next morning
they didn't
we
do
got
the
up.
full experience.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I remember like I was, it was just like all the stars, was so black there. And then like in the middle of the night, it was like really bright. Well, what was it? The moon. The moon was like rising, and it was so
shadows.
bright.
Wow.
No, it was just so freaking bright. It was literally like the sun. It was so bright, rising, that it like woke me up. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so bright out right now because the moon is right there.
Oh, how bizarre.
Yeah, it was cool. I've got some photos. It's so cool. And we got up really early. Well, originally we were going to get up later and then go. And I like told my PH, I was like, no, I really want to get up really early. So we got up at like 4:30. We were on the road. We drove into the park, which is like about an hour from where we were. Thank God for my PH that he had to drive, poor guy. And he drove me in, and we got to the, so there are all these dunes, right? And in Deadvlay, there's all these different dunes that you can climb and all this stuff. But Deadvlay is this one spot. It's a super touristy spot where basically these trees are petrified and they're like 1,000 years old.
Oh,
and so there used to be like water in this valley, and then the water's now gone. But because it's so dry there, the trees never disintegrated. They just petrified.
So,
yeah. So all these people will go and like take pictures, and you can't take drones, which I did take my mini drone and I threw it up. Like it was a baby Neo, like it was so baby, and nobody was around, and I didn't fly it around any of the trees, but like I did get a little drone footage, but it wasn't like a big drone. And I did submit my drone permit, but you're really not supposed to fly drones just because they don't want to ruin the trees and stuff there. And people are people. So, so they don't want you like sitting or touching the trees and all that. So, but a lot of photographers go out there, and everybody went this way and I went this way.
The other way.
And there was like this one spot, and like I just like had this basically private oasis for like a photo shoot for myself, until this lady came and yelled at me because I was taking too long by the one tree she wanted to take a picture. I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, lady.
Okay,
crazy.
Karen.
Find another tree or get here earlier.
Yeah.
Like, so it's cool. You get to like, you can climb the Big Daddy Dune. This massive dune. You'd have to do another day out there, because if you want to just take pictures and you want to get there early, I was taking pictures by myself, so I had to like set up my camera and all the things, and so it's hard by yourself, but you could probably do both if you had more hands. But I just couldn't do the dune. I was like, it's already 11:30. Like, climbing in that sand is a work.
Yeah.
Like, intense. So, kind of regret not doing it, kind of not. Like, I'll go back, and then like someday I'll do it again, and we'll be able to do it.
Just leave it on the list. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, but that was gorgeous. And just like even driving out there, like the pictures like don't even do it justice. I remember almost wanting to cry in the truck when I was like looking out, just like looking at the horizon. You would see these dunes, and then the sun was coming up. So like half side of the dune was like lit with sun, and then the other side was black. So it created this like real sharp contrast.
Creates some of the coolest photos. Yeah, it really does if you can capture it.
And I was just like looking, and I was like, I've been to the Grand Canyon. This is grander than the Grand Canyon. Like, Namibia it's literally one of the most beautiful places. Well, one that I've ever been. I really think it's the most beautiful place on earth. Like, it's gorgeous there. And I just wish, like, I don't know. I know you've been to South Africa. I would recommend anybody taking Namibia over South Africa.
Namibia?
Like,
really?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Namibia for sure before I go back to South Africa.
Well, let me know when you plan that. because that'll be if your hubby doesn't join you again. I might
you can
tag
come
on to
with.
that trip. Yeah.
I'm gonna plan to probably go up to Caprivi, so that like borders like Botswana. It's at the very top of Namibia. But that's got again different game animals and stuff. Caprivi, they just talk about like it's an oasis, like it's another type of experience. I'll probably do like Caprivi and maybe Waterberg. But yeah, I gotta at least give it like maybe 2 years and maybe find another ladies' lunch and hunt so I can get
another one of the staple lunches. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that was like such a holistic view of everything. Thank you so much. And like you said, you have a passion for not only just like telling a story, but like really helping other people, whether it be just like educational or with access or like whatever. I can really tell that's a passion of yours. I have the same, so we have that in common. But tell people again where they can find you, and then I know you have a blog as well, so all the things. Where can they find you?
Excuse me, sorry about that. So on Instagram I'm at Hen, HEN and AND Hunt, all one word, Hen and Hunt. That's also my new website, so www.henandhunt.com. That's where my blog is. Like obviously I've talked all about Africa, but Birdie and I, like this year we got back from Argentina, so I've got more content to share from Argentina and more blogs to post from that. And we're just, big waterfowl, duck hunting, do upland. We'll do some trips this fall. I'm excited for the season that's kicked off. We've got our teal hunt coming up, and then nothing super major planned, but like what I'd like to get back to, what we did a couple of years ago is I traveled a lot through the States, up to North Dakota and Kansas and just hunted all throughout. In the States, I want to do more. Like, I love using outfitters, and the reason I use outfitters is because I don't have like my own access to my land, right? But we are trying to do more like of the DIY. We've been invited places, so like I'm always down to like get out there, trade hunts. Like, I love to do the work, right, and be a part of it, right. And I'm not there for just the hunt, but like Birdie's my life. She's an amazing dog, and anybody that's hunted with her has just loved her. So, I'd love to ever meet anybody. If you ever want to go hunting, let me know. But yeah, you can follow our journey, and we've done some like all female stuff. I've put some, group hunts together. So we'll be kind of looking at doing that again this year and see where might be able to get a group together to go. But for the most part, Instagram at Hen and Hunt, and then my blog, and then of course it'll tie into the YouTube and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but like anything I post on IG just goes to Facebook.
Exactly.
I'm not big on the talkie. I can't get into it. It's too much.
TikTok is just it's hard to keep up with, and I couldn't figure out like what do I want to. Because hunting content just flops.
It just doesn't do well there. Yeah, I know.
So it's hard for me to like. You hardly see anything about me hunting on my TikTok. It's all like mom stuff. I've just like leaned into that side of it. So, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate you guys and what y'all are doing as well. It was great to hear Brandon talking about like why he's doing this, and important that we're staying in touch, like you said, not with just the Texas, and sharing what's going on out there from like stories like myself, but then also education as well, both Texas and beyond, right?
And truly being advocates for conservation within our own communities and in the U.S., like really focusing on what's going on and staying in tune with it. Yeah.
So I've got a question for him. I'm going to get with him offline.
Yeah. And see, like next time, I know it's so hard. I know. And it's so hard to juggle. Like with Haston, it's like, okay, bedtime, either he is out and we like might be able to come in here together, but then we might get pulled out. Like from our experience, it's
great to see you guys super hard.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. His first hunt, the Austrian Stewards of the Wild, we did their hunt. I guess it was the 7th. So that was like the day before we went and did a hunt together, like a date, and then took him out that next day. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
He will be, there's no choice. Like he's going to be out and about with us. So I had his hearing pro before he was even born. I'm like, I know he's going to be out there with us. So
and I appreciate his help on the silencer stuff. It was so nice for him to chat with me on Instagram.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it. He loves being the Brandon, the helpful Brandon. He gets shout outs on YouTube all the time. It's really funny.
He is so helpful. So shout out to Silencer Shop. There's my last plug for
Absolutely.
that. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Hugh, Silencer Shop, Jamie Trout, those are all my big supporters. Tetra, my Tetra hearing, as well. I wore that throughout the hunt. So but yeah, thanks so much to Tejas Hunt Club. You guys are great, and such a great podcast that y'all have started here. Not really started, but have been running. That's why.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're starting to get some good numbers under our belt, so we're happy to see that it's continued. Because for a while it's like, okay, now and it's really just our network and telling stories. And like, I would love to have you back on, and we can have hopefully all three of us that are going to be on.
We probably have to put this into like part one, part two, because we went so long.
It's so long. I agree. But I mean, honestly, like some of the best podcasts in the nation like are 3 hours long. Like they it's ridiculous, and we listen to them. So